We come to the PSP for magic. We come to laugh, to cry, to boing. That indescribable feeling of watching a UMD bootleg of Sausage Party. Dazzling images on a 4.3-inch screen.
I need to know that I have done one thing right with my life.
Our heroes feel like the best parts of us. And stories feel perfect and portable. Because here, they are.
Hey, psst, hey, 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 hey.
You wanna buy some movies? Yeah, you wanna buy some movies? Yeah, I'm real right now. I got a whole bunch of movies I could say. I got Avatar 2, Wave the Wawa. I got Sausage Party. I got Paul Blart 2. I got Whale. I got the whole Whale. That's right, yeah, it's that UMD shit. That's that good. That's right, it's the UMD. It's the future of the motion picture, a vast departure from the Nickelodeons of old.
Hit me.
Now, for the first time ever, you can watch Ice Age the Meltdown from the comfort of your own toiletry without having to use a clever placement of mirrors. The big draw with the PSP back when it launched in early 2005 was that it was this high-tech multimedia device on the go that could do it all with this brilliant user interface. It could play PlayStation 2 quality games, it could play music, you could browse the World Wide Web, and of course you could watch benchwarmers on it. Watching movies on the go kind of became this in vogue thing in the early to mid 2000s. It was this new exciting idea.
Dude, those animals are so f***ing funny, they make me want to merge without looking.
But the PSP was a handheld where it was open season to be playing open season the game 1 second and then watching open season the movie the next. Oh, and you could watch it in close to DVD quality on a visible screen. That's right. Before this, there was the infamous Game Boy Advance video, a format we've all harassed to death by now with a video quality even a potato would find offensive. You. That was a huge shift pretty fast, and being someone who was super fortunate enough to get a PSP around its launch, watching movies on it was an exciting feature that people in my life who didn't play video games were very shocked and surprised about. No, father, I'm afraid I cannot play your nudie tapes on my PSP. It don't fit right, but there was a market for it in Japan that got pretty popular. Oh yeah, it wasn't just movies, it was any video releases, TV shows, comedy specials, albums, concerts, pretty much anything could be a PSP UMD release. There was seemingly no end to it, or any consistency either. You want to hear something twisted? You can't play Resident Evil 4 on the PSP, but you know what you can do? You can watch 4 Resident Evils. But super quickly, the UMD fell out of style. So hard, so fast that like in 2006, that early in the PSP's life, this stuff was quickly overloading bargain bins. I remember GameStop would have these gigantic, super unorganized, filthy sections of UMDs they were selling for as little as $1. People just weren't buying them. I mean, I guess it was cool to have 1 or 2 movies or a show on the go, but realistically, why would you pay for something that's the same price as a brand new DVD, sometimes even more expensive for less features that would only work on one specific device? As a result, by 2006, hundreds of UMDs were already being released, with few people buying them, with many studios like Paramount and Universal quickly backing out of producing for the format, with one executive saying, "It's awful, sales are near zilch, it's another Sony bomb," like Blu-ray. And with it being so easy to rip and transfer movies and videos to the PSP, the format met a pretty quick death. So fast that a lot of supposed lists of UMD releases online are inaccurate because of how many titles got announced and then abruptly cancelled. Some, for example, list Blade Runner as a UMD release. I thought, oh wow, that's cool, I want that. What do you know, on Amazon, I see a listing for Blade Runner for UMD. I buy it, except guess what? There is no Blade Runner on UMD. It never came out. Here is what they sent me instead. The Magic of Musicals. Volume 6. Thank you so much. Today you can find UMDs pretty cheap in thrift stores or retro shops, if they even decide to carry them, that is. They're just so niche that they're kind of hard to get rid of. Only a specific kind of sick bastard would buy these things in current year. So I thought it'd be fun to talk about the ones I got. First up, I got Toy Story. with this 10th anniversary UMD release. This is a pretty cool one that I was super excited to find out existed. I had no idea, and I mean, it's one of my all-time favorites, and to get to experience it in this really quaint way on one of my favorite handhelds is something so special to me. This one and Incredibles, as far as I know, are the only Pixar movies that exist on UMD. Which is kind of weird because that means they stopped supporting UMD right after 2005. Like, with Disney, they really did not support this format at all. I mean, they made Hannah Montana PSPs, you bet your ass about that, but as far as Pixar, this is pretty much it. Now, if you want to talk Pixar games, that's a whole different story. Anime UMDs are ones that are typically pretty sought after and a little more rare. Movies like Akira got a UMD release, and that's amazing. Now, if you're familiar with Akira, you no doubt know it's this high production value animated movie where every frame is rich in detail with a lot of love and heart poured into it. It's kind of something special to be watching something like that on a small screen like this on the PSP of all things. Perfect Blue and Paprika are two movies by legendary director Satoshi Kon that got these surprise UMD releases. Perfect Blue is this hauntingly beautiful movie, very ahead of its time for it coming out in 1997. It's about a pop singer and her descent into madness as her persona and public image sort of take on a life of their own, and she comes across this internet blog by a psycho fan of hers that's stalking and logging her every move. There's a scene where she needs to be explained to what the internet is and how computers work.
You launch it by double-clicking here.
What? Double clip?
What are you going to do with a clip?
I thought that's what you said.
No, see, at the location here, you enter the URL. It's really not that difficult to understand.
Oh, Romy, come on. Will you please explain it to me in English?
Oh boy, whatever gave you the idea to buy a computer anyway?
Because they said it was easy.
That may seem kinda silly now, but thematically the way it deals with parasocial relationships feels very progressive and prescient. Speaking of crazy stands, we have 8 Mile on UMD. This is another one of those pretty uncommon UMD releases. It's another one of those that you really just don't expect to see. A lot of UMDs, the most common ones were releases of films from, the mid to late 2000s, or early movies that were already getting, a new DVD release. So 8 Mile is just one of those interesting oddball releases that came from studios and distributors just wanting to get some of their movies on the format, and I thought it was super cool. Thumb Wars, Thumbtanic, a double feature. Now, first off, let me tell you that this one right here was one I actually sought out as a kid so many times. I was a huge Thumb Wars fan, but I'd only seen it once, and YouTube was only like a year old, and I just really wanted to watch it again, and I found out about this UMD release online. And time again, I would check those filthy bins at places that sold UMDs, places like GameStop, dozens and dozens of them, any chance I got, and never, not once did I see this one. It was heartbreaking. And I don't think this one is valuable or anything. It was just so uncommon on shelves. I guess it makes sense. It's an obscure-ass release of a goofy short film that played on TV like once. And I'm really glad I have it on PSP. It's just that this UMD release is super bare bones. Like, the DVD equivalent has a decent amount of bonus features and menu options. This one is literally, you get 2 options. You can either play the full double feature, or you can play all the extras in one long video. That's it. You can't even select which thumb film you want to watch. You have to go all in every time and watch both. As a huge fan of these thumb movies and the PSP, this is a pretty unbelievable crossover of 2 things I love that I'm thankful exists. Speaking of Star Wars, we never did get the saga on UMD, we only got the parodies. But while the UMD did have a quick death in the United States, it lasted a few years longer in places like Japan and the UK, where it did get a lot of releases we never saw in America. Things like the 2008 Clone Wars film. Holy cannoli, Obi-Wan Kenobi, this feels bootleg. The menu and options are as static and bare bones as you could get, but the best thing about this release is that it's region-free, meaning it will work on any PSP around the world. And typically this was the case with most UMD releases after 08. Sony pretty much stopped caring. The format was pretty much a corpse at this time. You gotta remember too, the PSP Go, which was digital only, was already well on the way. These little UMDs were already being seen as an inconvenient relic. But with the UK supporting UMD for much longer, that thankfully also meant even more oddball releases. Like, Clone Wars 2008 is one thing, but here we also have A Clockwork Orange. I guess if you want to watch, scenes of graphic assault on the bus, here you go. You can now take a Clockwork Orange on the go with a tall glass of milk. Yeah, how about a palate cleanser? SpongeBob, Volume 1 of the first season, a bunch of classic banger episodes on UMD. Anything SpongeBob related like this is no doubt going to be popular. Like, we also got another absorbent masterpiece on here.
Yeah! Oh, better luck next time, buddy! Woo!
That's right, SpongeBob the movie on UMD. There are a few treasures in life that feel like they were tailor-made specifically for my enjoyment, and this is one of those things. I can't think of many other movies I would want on UMD than this. And this one's actually a rather uncommon and valuable release. I mean, both these SpongeBob UMDs came out in '05, and in addition to being pretty desirable among fans, I feel like there probably weren't too many early adopters of the PSP that were kids, making these ones a bit harder to find all these years later. Like, I was one of those kids. I would have been all over this thing, and I had zero idea at the time that these existed. Okay, so I retract what I said about the nudie tapes, because here we have Casey the Co-Ed for UMD, one of the very, very few adult films released in the format in the US, allowing us filthy Americans to officially make our PlayStations portable. Oh, and that's right, it asks you for a password, even if you've never set one up. And, yep, it's a booba tape on a little tiny disc. It's certainly a mid-2000s porno on PSP. And you know what? I'ma just say it. This shit's boring. This is the most generic, run-of-the-mill Carl's Jr. commercial-ass adult film I've ever seen. Which, I guess, makes sense if they're gonna throw something like this on a video format for a handheld gaming console. It's probably a safe bet. But, like, you have to think what sick degenerate was buying this along with their PSP. I want to know what their library of games look like. So to fast forward, we got Zombieland and District 9. Both fantastic 2009 films that got releases toward the end of the PSP's life. Make no mistake, by this time the format was squat. At this point, the UMD was a relic, almost 5 years old. A lot of times you didn't even really see these carried on shelves anymore. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Walmart store layouts, but if you went to the electronics section where the games were, they throw these things like right there, just begging for someone to steal them. Digital entertainment at this point was a well-adopted thing. You could buy these movies for your iPod, your phone, whatever. Sometimes they just throw these in bundles with a PSP, like the God of War Ghost of Sparta PSP. They were just like, here, please take this copy of Kick-Ass, we don't want it, for the love of God, have it. Even these UMDs have trailers for Blu-rays at the front. It's like a mark of death. You may notice these two have these yellow labels at the top. If you see these, that usually means you're probably looking at some of the last UMD releases there were. These are movies released in '09 and 2010 where the PSP was sort of in its get it before it's gone branding. If the UMD did so poorly at launch that studios rushed to back out, I'd be really curious to see just what kind of numbers these two did. I remember seeing these UMDs at the time and thinking, who the hell is gonna buy this? Well, I found out. It was me the whole time. What's all this then? It's Harry Potter the 8-movie UMD box set. Oh my god. Yes, the Harry Potter franchise was able to get every single one of its films on the PSP. From what I understand, these here were the last of the UMD releases we got outside of Japan. Now, this was a UK exclusive, and what's kind of bizarre is the last 4 Harry Potter films are region-free. While the first 4 are not, they're just simply a reprint of the Region 2 specific releases, meaning a PSP from the US isn't going to be able to play them. But the first 4 Harry Potter movies did release here in the US on UMD, meaning if you wanted to complete your US Harry Potter collection, you had to buy this box set. And well, now I have it. Is it magical? Nope. I hate it. Look at these end labels. Look at what these filthy mudbloods did. You have the last 5 list the school year, but the first 3 don't. What the hell? But whatever. At least we can say the PSP officially got all the Harry Potters on UMD. That's a pretty insane and unexpected accomplishment. 50 points for Gryffindor. So that's the UMD on PSP. Great value video entertainment on the go. And yeah, while most would characterize the format as a failure due to how quickly it happened to tank, I'd still say it simply just served its purpose. It really was a product of its time. Even if new UMD releases did start out cheaper, I really don't think it would have survived much longer against just how quickly digital media took hold in the late 2000s. Still, having over 1,000 releases as a video format for what is first and foremost a gaming handheld, that's pretty damn impressive. Later models of the PSP did try to push the UMD a bit by advertising the new edition of being able to output them to a TV with component cables, but it was mostly too little too late. I still buy some every now and then because, hey, it's the PSP, why not? It's of decent quality on a great handheld, and again, it's still easier than ever to convert whatever movie or video you want to watch. Let's just say, faithful viewer, you'll definitely be having the whale of a good time.